All right. So this presentation is called LinkedIn Capital Raising Secrets. I already covered a bit with you all. Who the heck am I? I am the founder and principal of Sylvis Capital. We'll just hang out here for a second because this is husband Joel, who I appreciate very much. Hilarious fact, we're hosting the Olympics in LA in 2028, you may have heard. And so there's people all over the world hovering and coming to LA to examine our power grid, which is held together by duct tape and Band-Aids. I mean, it's the wildest thing. And people from Greece and Japan are truly personally quizzing my husband, who's an electrical mechanic, going, okay, how are we going to host Olympics here? How's this all going to work? So he's the man. But we own, this should be updated. We actually have almost 1,800 units now across the United States of multifamily. We've got some flex industrial, around 260 million of assets under management. And I have raised about 70% of all capital for my deals from complete strangers off of LinkedIn. And I want you to do it too, because there's more than enough for all of us. This is the cool thing about how the universe works. I'm not going to get too California hippy dippy on y'all, but the more you share, the more you teach people, there's more than enough for all of us. So me doing this and being successful, you're not going to take away from my success and vice versa. So I want to share. So I love Jim Rohn. If you're familiar with him, you may know this quote, but the same wind blows on all of us. Therefore, it is not the blowing of the wind, but the setting of the sails that'll determine our direction in life. And if you've been raising capital, you may know that the capital raising game has really changed. People are on the capital raising struggle bus. And most people, I'm not going to go through kind of the rhetorical nature of this, have not raised all the capital that they needed last year. And halfway through into 24, they're struggling as well. So my goal here is to really help you understand how the game has changed and how you can better play it to make sure that your deals are fully funded. So why has the game changed? What's gone on? Why has it changed? What's working in the past doesn't work now. Maybe you've run out of your own capital. Maybe you're at that version or that stage of the game where you've deployed your own capital. You've gone to friends and family and that's run out too. They've deployed and they're like, hey, I'm all out. This is all I got. And it does take quite a while to build trust with investors. I know I'm not telling you all anything you don't know. So what I've observed is a lot of folks are having one-on-one calls with tire kickers that are kind of trying to find information, but aren't quite sure if they want to invest. And that's taking a lot of your time. Or maybe you're going to a bunch of conferences, nothing wrong with it, but you're not quite sure who you're talking to. Is this someone with money? Is this someone that's interested? Or are you going to a conference where everyone's trying to raise capital from each other? You're like, wait a minute, this isn't the goal that I want in terms of lead generation. And then jumping on a call with people, again, not just the tire kickers, but the folks that maybe know nothing about you or about what syndication is all about. It's just, there's a lot here that I see is going wrong with folks. But this is what LinkedIn can provide. This is a person, again, this is almost 2 years ago, that out of nowhere reached out to me. I said, yeah, I've got an opportunity for 506Cs, folks. This person wired a week later, $250K to my deal. I never talked to them. This is the conversation we had. Obviously, for compliance purposes, we talked, we got on the phone. I made sure this person, understood what they were getting into. But the point is, this is accessible to you all. This is available to each and every one of you. There is nothing that makes me special. I just happen to understand the algorithm and, how LinkedIn works. We aren't selling something that people don't want. We're really fortunate in this space. We don't really even have to sell. We have something that almost everyone thinks is awesome. So it's time for us to get the word out. Okay, before we get into it, just humor me real quick with these top 5 mistakes I see people making, because I want to make sure you're not one of them. So not having an online presence is detrimental to your capital raising ability. And the reason why, well, severalfold, but one is it's just the world that we're in. This is, if you're my age, if you're younger, if you're older, it doesn't matter. This isn't the 1990s. Everyone's Googling you. Everyone wants to figure out what you're all about, what you're doing. So having some sort of online presence is imperative. And I want to teach you all why I think it should be LinkedIn. Not having one-to-many messaging. So this means your time, even if you're brand new to this, is incredibly valuable. So you need to be able to have economies of scale. And we say that a lot in the commercial real estate business, right? Economies of scale, but you need that in your own business where you're not going to be able to get to the capital that you need to raise if you're just having one-on-one conversations. Those one-on-one conversations are great, but that's further down your sales funnel. You need to have one-to-many messaging, kind of not a shotgun approach, but a more broad casting of your net. And the way to do that is really on social media. And of course, not having a system, a funnel, or a process for your capital raising business, because it is a business. This is not something you're just kind of doing on the side or money's just going to appear. This sales funnel is incredibly important. And of course, a scalable way to keep investors warm in between deals, because it's one thing to get a live lead on the hook, but you're not always going to have a deal. So what do you do with those people that you need to keep warm? That's tough to do on a one-to-many or on a one-to-one basis. So making it scalable to keep folks warm is imperative. And of course, not connecting with operators for deal flow. If you've ever been in a situation where you've got investors, but you're like, gosh, I don't know, I can't raise capital and find incredible deals. Maybe you can at a small scale, but as your business grows, you've got to find operators with deal flow. So here's the spoiler alert that you guys already know. How do we fix this? I would submit to you, it is all about LinkedIn. And it's moving from raising capital from friends and family to raising capital at scale. All right, how are we doing on timing? Okay, good. Talking fast enough. So why should you be active on LinkedIn? Thanks, Jeff. Half of all LinkedIn users earn 75K or more a year, which may sound impressive to you or may not sound impressive to you, but that's the highest earning of any social media platform. So talk about fishing where the fish are. LinkedIn's it. I know TikTok is sexy. I think TikTok is fun. Insta's fun. Facebook's cool. Guess what? No one's earning money like they are on LinkedIn. So if you want people to wire money to you, you need to fish where the fish are. Over a third of all millionaires in the United States are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn now has over 1 billion users. So that's obviously not just in the US, that is overseas. And the average LinkedIn person has twice the buying power of any other web user. So if you're not convinced there, this is the interactive portion of the presentation. Who here has Googled your name recently? Jeff? Brendan? So, okay, so come off mute. Tell me, what'd you guys see?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for me, it was, kind of embarrassing because, well, some stuff. I'm on YouTube a lot. And that was, I used to be a police officer in California for the CHP. So
no kidding.
Yeah, I did 10 years with them. And so a lot of that stuff will come up and I'm like, oh, look at this. This is great. And so people film me, you know, and that kind of stuff. So there's that. Yeah. So with that said, though, but nothing really comes up on the what I'm doing with raising capital and stuff. So I'm like, that was interesting when you said that. Like, that's something I need to definitely pay more attention to, you know, is I want to be known like you, like Brandon Turner, those kinds of people that when you say that name, they're like, oh, he's a capital raiser, right? And that's why I came up with the stash investor and all that stuff is trying to, you know, I guess in some ways I'm 44, so I'm like reinventing myself too. I told my kids, like, yeah, go for it. So I'm like, here we go, we're gonna reinvent myself now. But just something catchy and to get that out there. But a big part of that is like what you're doing on LinkedIn and others, and that's putting content out there and getting information so people know who you are. So that's my side.
Nice. I appreciate that. That's insightful. Anyone else want to share? No pressure. Yeah.
I guess I can share. Funny enough, the first thing that comes up is LinkedIn, actually, but nothing real estate related, of course. LinkedIn, a couple other things about school, university, and then soccer, which I've played my entire life. But I always thought that LinkedIn being the first one was interesting.
For the vast majority of people, LinkedIn's going to be in the top 3 results. The vast majority. Some people don't have a unique name. If you're John Smith or, you know, another name, you know, maybe there'll be a bunch of other people. Or if you've got a funky last name or about 5 other people have your last name like me and they all live in Pasadena, California, then, you know, you're in luck. But the bottom line is, and what I want to communicate to you all is LinkedIn is what's going to show up when people Google you. So having an awesome LinkedIn profile and presence can be immensely valuable. Appreciate y'all participating. So who has heard of know, like, and trust? I'm sure you guys, some of you have. Yeah. I would submit to you when you capital raise, this is your funnel. People must know you before they can like you and trust you. And this is why having an online social media presence is so important, because again, back to the one-to-many platform, people can know you much more efficiently on social media if you're routinely putting out content. And then they start to like you. The more they see your content, then they trust you, and then they wire you funds. That's really how that goes. Okay, so you're probably thinking, great, Amy, I get it. LinkedIn is the place to be. Where the heck should I get started? How does this work? What would you advise? So how can we get people to know, like, and trust you and build that funnel? In my experience, what I teach my students is it comes down to these pretty simple things. It is not as intimidating as you may think. It's understanding the algorithm. It's understanding how to post. And then this third one is often lost by people. It's commenting strategically. So we're going to dive into these three real quick and help you all get off to the races. So how we measure success and how I measure success with my students is profile views, impressions, and engagements. We don't necessarily have time to show you where all that is, but and I'm happy to give you guys a copy of this deck when the presentation's over. But you can view these KPIs on LinkedIn and measure your progress over weeks, months, even years, which is really cool. If you're like me, you're data driven. So just putting something out there and then wondering, hey, what's going to come from it can feel a little nebulous. So these are pretty brilliant leading indicators where if you're growing those, you know that you're moving folks through your sales funnel and you'll eventually get more investor calls. And then of course, folks wiring to your deals. Okay, so let's dive in. The algorithm. Does anyone know what an algorithm is? I think a lot of people know what it is, but anyone want to take a stab at how to define it? We're all friends here, so if you get it wrong, it's okay.
It's gosh, I don't want to say. I guess it's some type of programming that predicts your rhythms, the user's rhythms. So basically, from what a page you click on, posts you're liking, and it continuously feeds you something content related, very related to that. For example, if you Facebook and Twitter,
Good.
if you talk about something, if you talk about buying a property tomorrow, you're getting ads on real estate on Facebook. Basically, that's kind of what it is.
Good. Appreciate that. It is a process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. Very similar to what you said. Essentially, if you're on any sort of social media platform, you're not getting content in chronological order, right? Unless I think on some platforms, you can maybe, that's not the default, but you can change it to that. There is an algorithm that's deciding what is in front of you. So I want you all to understand LinkedIn's algorithm so your content can be in front of more people who may want to invest with you. Does that sound good? It's so fun. Has anyone read the book called The Go-Giver? Oh my gosh. Okay. Y'all are missing out. I'm going to give you 5 seconds real quick to write it on your to-do list of choice. It is a quick read. It's a powerful read. It's so good. But it's essentially a book that talks about if you want to receive, you must get busy giving. It's incredible. And it talks about the 5 laws of stratospheric success. Jeff's shaking his head because he's like, I'm vibing with this. You get it, right? Here's the coolest thing you guys are going to hear today. If you take away one thing from me, LinkedIn is a go-giver algorithm. It gives me goosebumps just to think about it. The law of value, the more your true worth, is determined by how much you give in value than you take in payment. The law of compensation, your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. The law of influence, your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. The law of authenticity, the most valuable gift you can offer is yourself. The law of reciprocity, the key to effective giving is to be open to receiving. If you follow these on LinkedIn, you will have no choice but to raise capital. I know, so rad, right? Mic drop, we're done. Presentation's over. No. So who does the algorithm favor? Let's get concretely into this. How does LinkedIn make money? Eyeballs. They sell eyeballs. So who are they going to push content out? Whose content are they going to favor? If you're putting out content consistently 5 to 7 times a week, that means they can sell more ads. So they're going to push your content out to more people. So the algorithm says, how many days in a row have you been posting, or how many times a week? It doesn't have to be every single day, but the more consistently you post, the more the algorithm is going to reward you. And I'll give you more ideas about what to post, because that may feel really intimidating, but just know that your consistency will be rewarded. Pictures of faces where you can see the whites of your beautiful eyeballs are favored. They just are. This doesn't mean post a selfie every single day, but just know people like doing business and building relationships with people. So if you show some of your life, I mean, not Facebook, right? We're not, complaining about how, our uncle's going to vote in the next election thing, not that. But if you build a relationship and post, about yourself a little bit and show yourself, you'll get great traction. Put links to outside websites in the comments, not the post. Who knows why that might be? Given how I told you LinkedIn makes money.
They don't want you to leave.
That's exactly right. They're in the business of selling eyeballs. If you are posting something where eyeballs go elsewhere, they don't like it. So post the link in the comments, not the post. Creating a little controversy can sometimes be good. Now, again, this isn't the uncle and, oh my God, I can't believe how he's voting. But maybe it's, hey, guess what? Your house is not an asset. Ooh, that type of thing, where it can lead to an educational opportunity, where it can lead to a discussion, that type of thing. So we're not going all full Facebook on people, but maybe we're giving stuff for folks to think about. Okay, so those are really the basics and the heart and the soul of the algorithm there. But posting, I did talk to you about posting and how important that is and how much that will be rewarded by the algorithm and help you give value to your target avatar. How many of you post on LinkedIn regularly? It's okay if you don't. Yeah, nice, Jeff. Okay, no one else? That's totally cool. Because if you're like me, when I started 3 years ago, you're probably wondering, what in the world, Amy, should I post? I'm scared. This is public. My former colleagues may see me, maybe my current colleagues, what's happening. I will give you in the next few slides a framework that'll give you almost limitless content for you to post. Sound good? I want you to think about your target avatar. Who do you want to help in this game? Because it really is all about helping people, being a go-giver. So if you think about a person, an age, a name, a job title, the number of kids, a location, all that good stuff, think about this actual person that you want to serve in your real estate business. And then think through, what are their wants, their desires, and their goals, and their fears and their pain points. Everyone has those, right? Maybe it's, hey, my kids are teenagers. I've been hustling so hard at work. I'm working 80 hours a week and pulling in great income. But gosh, I just want more time freedom. Or, hey, maybe they hate their job and they want to quit, but they don't know what the path may be. Maybe they just want to travel more and spend more time with hobbies. It doesn't matter what it is. But as you're thinking about what to post, think about this and then talk about how real estate investing solves these or helps people get to those goals. There are so many iterations, permutations, ways to think about this. Real estate gives you another stream of income that's hands-off, so you can spend more, so you can make a job choice based on what you want to do rather than chasing the almighty dollar. Or real estate gives you diversification. You're terrified of the stock market. Doesn't mean don't invest in the stock market, But here's another way you can invest. Are you starting to see how really getting to the emotional part of goals and fears and desires and pain points, real estate solves so many. We are so fortunate, y'all. We are in such an incredible business. We solve so many problems, help people reach dreams and goals. So this goes back to being a go-giver, and we're just giving education. We're not selling. We don't have to feel like used car salespeople, nothing against them, but some people don't like feeling like that. We're not going to be on LinkedIn every day pitching. We're going to be on LinkedIn helping people reach goals and helping people mitigate their fears. And we're going to bridge and be a go-giver by helping people understand how real estate can do that. So again, we're going to go through these really quickly. I'll give you a copy of the slide deck so you don't have to feel like you're writing these down. But talk about something you recently learned in real estate and how that might bridge to what your avatar's desires, goals, fears are. What you used to believe, but now you've got a different perspective. I used to think that real estate investing meant buying a home and living in it and hoping and praying, especially in California, that the price went up. Now I know that commercial real estate, you get it, right? Current events and how they relate to whether I just did a presentation with triple net people, multifamily, whatever your flavor of real estate is, but talk about interest rates and what's happening now with the type of investing. What does that mean to people? How does that help them? How does it hinder them? What's a common misconception? Talk about these myths. I mean, how many of us have heard from people that maybe are into the single family space say, hey, interest rates are really high. That means we shouldn't buy. We're going to myth bust that. That's not the case in commercial real estate, and here's why. Something you've recently experienced in the triple net or the multifamily or the mobile home park or whatever space. You're seeing more vacancy, you're seeing less vacancy, you're seeing job growth. Anything you're personally seeing in your journey can be very, very worthwhile to your target avatar. Your personal investing journey. I might talk to you a little bit about mine. I tried to get into this space. I failed for 10 crazy years, but I persisted. People like to hear and see themselves in your story. Go back to the basics. A lot of people don't even know what multifamily means or what triple net means. We're all so in it and thinking about it and use the jargon, but we can zoom out and give and teach. But don't give financial advice. I see some people saying, you should do this and you should do that. Careful, unless you're a registered broker-dealer, that is a big no-no on social media. Don't give financial advice. Talk about yourself. I believe this. I think this. My experience has been this. Here's education. Do with it what you will. You'll get so far by doing that. Talk about your why. I know I've got a friend has a disabled child and refused to live in poverty. Often having children with disabilities can be very costly and can make it tough for parents to work. And, everyone has a story about their journey. Share that. Let other people see how this can help them, how it's helped you. You'll be amazed at how many people you help. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 quick post, just kind of ideas. Don't steal them, obviously, but use them as a template. I don't care. A lot of people don't know that there's 3 different types of income. If you're like me, I grew up in a middle-class household. We have earned income. I got W-2 income. A lot of folks don't know that you can have portfolio income that's taxed often less than even a high earner's W-2 income, or passive income that's taxed sometimes even less or none. Just an example of education. I'm not saying this post is perfect. I'm not saying, follow my lead, but just want to give you guys some ideas on what posting can look like. This is husband Joel and I at our very first property that we purchased. The headline, you kind of can't see it, but I said, why was my first real estate purchase a 58-unit apartment complex with my investors? Say what? I still rent my place in California, y'all. It's not because I can't afford, but I've got a different mindset. Maybe what I'm doing is right, maybe it's not, but inviting people into a paradigm shift, you can start to see how you can, your old colleagues, your current colleagues, friends and family, you can just start paradigm shifting where people are going, you bought 58 units? How? I didn't think you were that rich. I'm not. I've got investors. You have investors? Who? What? The conversations that come from these posts are so cool. They're so fun. This guy tweeted this. I thought it was so cool. But if you bought a home in the US in 2000 for 250 and it's worth 433 today, you did not actually make money. You just kept up with average inflation. Ooh, ooh, Lexi gets it. That stings. Most people don't understand what inflation is. They see the number go up and they're like, ooh. So it can be an educational opportunity, cause a little bit of controversy. You can have good conversations. But if you're intimidated by posting, you are not alone. I just ask, or maybe even beg for you all to consider this. You may be the only person talking about this in someone's network, in your network. Meaning there may be someone, and you may be the only link to real estate investing that they ever encounter. And by not posting and by not getting out there, you may be robbing them of the opportunity to be involved in wealth building through real estate. This shifts. It's not about you. It's about your ability to help people. And I would argue your responsibility to get this information out there, because we are all stronger as a country. I'm going to get really meta. The more people that understand that real estate is an option, right? That it's not just for the ultra wealthy. They can build their wealth in that way too. So if you feel intimidated, I still do sometimes, just know that you could be that link to help someone that is desperately interested in diversifying, out of the stock market or whatever their reason is. You might be the only person that they ever encounter. So don't miss on that opportunity. I'm going to take a quick little breather. I'm talking super fast. Anything that's popped up? Lexi's like, yes, you are. Any questions? Is everyone tracking?
I'm in love with this. This is awesome. Amy.
It's fun.
Oh my gosh. That's what I'm doing. I'm like posting like crazy, and I'm using Instagram, right? Mostly that's I'm on there every night. I post at least once a day on there. And then what I'll do is I'll take that post that I made for Instagram and I'll post it on the other
LinkedIn.
one, LinkedIn. Thank you.
Yeah.
I post it on LinkedIn the next day. So they kind of like, do this. Here's my issue, and I'll just be honest. Like, I don't put a lot of value on there. I try to, but I feel like I don't know enough to teach. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like I'm just like, do I know what I'm saying when I say stuff? Like I do, but I don't feel like I have enough confidence to just go out there and say it. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay.
Absolutely. The imposter syndrome's real. I was on an economic update call with one of my co-GPs yesterday, and 10 minutes in, when my co-GP was talking, I was texting my mom going, I have no right to be here. This is like I'm in way over my head. But the truth is, even if you're just a couple of steps ahead of people who are listening to you, you're of tremendous value. So maybe what you understand isn't, hey, I've purchased 1,000 units and gone full cycle and created these incredible returns. That's okay. Maybe you've had the mindset shift of, oh, commercial real estate's available to people who aren't multimillionaires. That in itself is tremendous value. Maybe you understand how market research works and the fact that people don't have to live where they invest, that commercial real estate through economies of scale means that the whole United States is open, and you can choose not California, where the COVID eviction moratoriums ended just a year ago, or there's rent control and it takes 12 months to evict people. So congrats, you've been voluntold to be a volunteer organization now. A lot of people don't know that that's possible. So what I would submit to you is, I hear you, that is real. The imposter syndrome is probably never going to go away, no matter where you get. Just know that you are steps ahead of many people, and you can solve people or serve people simply by sharing even mindset shifts or discoveries that you've made along the way, or just even something you learned yesterday. Hey, I just learned this. I don't know who doesn't know this, but hey, check it out. I just wanted to share. I don't know if that's helpful, but
no, that's very, very helpful. And that's
yeah.
kind of where I'm transitioning that way little by little. I keep getting more confident. I keep thinking of little like ideas. Like you just said, a lot of those will come to me where like I'll have like just this idea or something comes up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to post that. Well, I forget when I go to post it. So I need to just stop what I'm doing and post it right then and there. Cause I feel like sometimes those little tidbits and a lot of your posts were similar to that, like where it's just something to get people to think, you know, and then they're like, whoa, that's crazy. So yeah, no,
Yep.
I'm on board there. The other question I had real quick was,
Yeah.
what are you using to create your content to post? I use, well, I can tell you right now, CapCut. What do you use? Is there a certain thing that you're using to make your posts?
I just post directly from LinkedIn. I
Is
tend
that-
to sit down every Sunday. I write content. I schedule it. I use LinkedIn's native scheduler. So it's planned out because it can be hard on a day-to-day basis to think of content. I have a repository where I get those little light bulb moments. Oh, I just got off the phone with an investor. This would be cool to communicate. I put it in my phone under notes. So then I refer to those notes once a week when I sit down to write content. But yeah, I'm not using anything fancy. It's just raw, straight off the cuff. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you have to, but I think there may be a narrative of, you know, stuff that where people can charge you money to use a third party. Doesn't mean you shouldn't, but you know, I want folks to feel like they can, you know, post and be worthy just through their own work too. If you don't want to use some software or something.
Yeah, and I heard that. That's a good point you said, because I heard that with Instagram. I use CapCut, like I said, to post on Instagram. Well, someone told me that Instagram has a way to know, like, if you're using their material or their things to make a post, that they'll promote your post more than if you use like an outside party.
Maybe.
Post. So if you actually do use like LinkedIn's software, their stuff to make a post, they might be promoting it more, which kind of makes sense, right? It's all hand in hand. So yeah. All right. Well, wow, that's good to know. And that's the thing. It seems like most posts don't have to be so explosive, especially on LinkedIn, because people I feel like that are on there are looking more for like factual information. They're not looking for like, oh, look at me juggle chainsaws. You know, they're looking at like just bait, like they want to know info, like, oh wow, that's very, especially when you're talking about the majority of people that are on there, right? Those types of people are looking for facts, like they want to know info. They don't care about, that's what TikTok's for.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not doing the little kid with the backpack dance, whatever that's called, or some Orange Justice. Yeah. Well, and the best thing is, most people are not reading novels on LinkedIn either. My advice, if you're trying to figure out how to format things, go through your own timeline or whatever it's called and see what catches your eye. I guarantee you're not clicking see more and reading a whole novel. Get in, get out, get to the point, draw me in, have a graphic that's kind of interesting that stops the scroll. Yeah, this doesn't have to be a novel. I struggle with being too verbose. Shocker. I'm sure everyone's very surprised by that. So I try to make it shorter. But yeah, if you're brief, if you've got just one idea, get in, get out, you're fine. That's very attractive to people. All right, we're gonna talk a little bit about comments, and I know we're bumping up on time, but I'll be brief here. I'll try. So commenting, I think it's something that a lot of people miss out on and don't understand on the platform. They post and ghost, as I call it. They show up, they get their posts, and then they leave. But if you can have empathy, if you can understand what your target, their needs, wants, goals, fears, pain points, you can add value by commenting on their content. So I see a bunch of real estate people commenting on each other's stuff. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're not going to invest with you. You can throw support, but find your target avatar, find their content, use the search bar, talk about their pain points and their goals. Also reply to your own posts, comments quickly. Now, I'm not saying live on LinkedIn, but if you're posting at 7 in the morning, slot it in your schedule to hang out there until 7:15. And when people comment on your content, start a conversation with them, thank them, ask questions, all of that. That will boost your post, and LinkedIn will show your post to more people. So my rhythm is Sunday, I sit down, I write out my content and I schedule it. Then when my content goes live, for me, it's 7 in the morning. I hang out on the platform. I wait for people to comment on my content. I reply to those comments. And then I also go out and I comment on 3 other people's posts, ideally my target avatar, right after I post as well. Again, you don't have to stay there for a full hour. 3 3 people's posts, kind of a bare minimum. I try to extend it to 10, but I've got a lot of muscle from doing this for several years. But again, it is a go-giver platform. If you want to receive money, get your target avatar's attention, all that other stuff, you got to start giving to other people and supporting their posts. I'll check back maybe in between meetings in the afternoon. If I've got, hey, 5 minutes in between a meeting, go check on my post, follow up on other comments that have happened. Maybe if something pops up on my timeline, give some love to other people's content. But again, you don't have to spend hours and hours on the platform. So the bottom line is, the more you comment on other people's posts, the more LinkedIn will show your posts to other people. Go giver. The more people interact with your posts, the more LinkedIn shows people your posts. Comments are incredibly powerful. I've gotten investors through commenting on other people's posts, not necessarily through my post. So it's just as important. And saying, hey, good job, that's okay. But what if you made it more, what if you made a comment more in depth of, hey, I saw you posted this. What does this mean? Or help me understand, or how have you used that in your life? Asking a question, having a conversation can be cool. Yeah, Eugene, did you come off mute?
Yeah, I did. I just
Yeah.
real quick question.
Yeah.
When you say you made those comments and all, does it feel like you probably get more into the critiquing kind of side of things, or are you just making a general comment about the facts and then reiterating what they're saying?
Yeah. I think, I'll ask a question, I'll add something, I'll agree. I think you can critique, sometimes that's necessary, but I don't think that's necessarily going to always get you people to know, like, and trust you. If you're like, actually, you're wrong and you're an idiot. I know that's not what you're saying. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but
I hate being the expert. That's what I was I
right?
don't know if I
Yeah.
say that.
Either you're right or you have friends, right? Is that what how the
That's
saying
right.
goes?
That's right.
Yeah, but for example, my target avatar is in the medical field, not doctors, but people that work in biotech. That's where my background is. And someone posted something interesting about, I forget what it was earlier today, but I'm like, hey, that's fascinating. Thanks for sharing that. I'm looking forward to, understanding a bit more. Do you think that this is a causal relationship or it's a correlation? That may sound a little nerdy. In my medical field, that makes sense and it causes a conversation.
I'm a
but
nurse. I love it. I mean,
okay,
that's
good. So
literally
you get it.
one of my
Okay.
target groups.
All right. So yeah, it was something about women's irregular menstrual cycles and having heart disease later on in life.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, is that a correlation? Is that a causal relationship? I'm fascinated by this. Thanks for posting. But it was a target avatar, right? So yeah, not necessarily a criticism, but just kind of I'm curious. So yeah, as a nurse, you can definitely dive into that, have peer-to-peer conversations. And then people go, okay, who's this Eugene dude? I'm going to click on his profile and see what he's all about.
Yeah.
Good
Thanks.
question.
Appreciate
Amy, Cody has his hand raised.
Yeah.
Okay, Cody, go ahead.
Hey, Cody.
Yeah. Hi, Amy. How you doing? I love the presentation.
Thanks.
Just to go back to the previous kind of subsection. So when you're sitting down for the week to write content, how do you come up with essentially maybe a series of posts? Like, do you have maybe a certain process? So for example, if I wanted to do a series of posts, maybe teaching my audience about a particular topic, or on a particular day of the week, you select hey, every Wednesday, I'm going to talk about blah, blah, blah. Do you have any insights into that?
I am far less structured and routine that way. I know some people do wow moments Wednesdays or mental health Mondays. I just, I try to have my repository of ideas of, something I learned for the week, something an investor said that made me think, this is a teachable moment. I closed on a deal, so I posted about that a few days ago. But I make those mental notes and I refer back to those. And if, I don't have as much in my repository as I need, then I'll really go back to the wants and desires, fears and pain points, and really get into my heart instead of my head and figuring out how real estate can meet that and really having a conversation and pulling from that as much as I can. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I understand. I know there's multiple ways to, slice and dice, topics or to present content. I think one of the things that I think about is, you know, if you have a particular, like adding as much like what you said is making it about them and giving as much as you can. So just kind of structuring, at least in my thought process, maybe taking a particular thing and then every week, you know, giving them a lot of value, but just trying to make it a little bit more predictable to get them to repeat and come back and establish relationships. So I was just thinking out loud, but thank you. That was very helpful.
Yeah. The bottom line is the majority of your followers are not going to see each of your posts, right? So even if you're repurposing content, you know, after several weeks, you're likely not going to get the same viewership. So I get the mindset of like, hey, I want them to know what to expect on a Wednesday or know what to, or like, oh, hey, it's a 3-day series and I'm going to refer back to, you know, what we talked about on the first day of the series. I teach my students, you've got to make each post relevant and have context in and of itself. Because the truth is, like, I've got 15,000 people that follow me. I get between 5, 6, 7, 8,000 views on my posts every day. That's half of my followers not seeing my content. And then that's also people that comment, their networks are seeing my posts, even though we're not connected. So it is a whole discombobulation. So if you're a very systematic kind of, you know, formulaic type mind like I am, LinkedIn can be a little bit of a challenge because you don't necessarily need to have that structure and there's not going to be that predictability. It's a little bit more of the woo-woo of if you're showing up and you're adding value truly, and you're there consistently, you understand the algorithm and you're truly just giving, everything else is going to fall into place. It's not going to be overnight, but it's going to happen.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. That was helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the question, Cody. Appreciate you.
That was great. And let's see, Sully, do you have your hand raised still? Like, go ahead if you do.
Yeah.
Hey, Amy, this was great.
Hey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my question is for a lot of folks that still have 9 to 5, like me. In fact, I'm working right now, multitasking while watching this presentation.
Yeah.
But do you feel that most like the posting part, do you think it could be outsourced? I understand the commenting part can be a little bit difficult because you have to relate to them in some way. Maybe if you outsource it in a way, the comments, that person may not be as experienced. But do you think as far as dropping the content, weekly contents, can you have somebody like a virtual assistant actually have it scheduled out where they'll post it and then maybe take over on the basic comments, things like that?
Yeah. I think with the content, if you know, maybe having an outline and giving someone some direction, you really need the lived experience, in my opinion, of being in this space to generate content. It becomes very clear the people who are using virtual assistants to generate content. But it doesn't mean you can't give kind of a general outline or a general topic and then maybe have someone run with that. Where I'd really caution you is with the comments. And the reason is we're here to build relationships and there are no shortcuts when it comes to building relationships. I've seen some people really struggle with raising capital and building relationships, even in the real estate community, because they have a VA that takes a post, puts it in ChatGPT, says, give me a 1-sentence summary, and then that's the comment. I'm not saying that's going to happen with you, but people, like, we are just so aware of AI nowadays and the patterns of speech and all of that. The last thing you want to do is have someone reach out to you and say, hey, your comment was really cool. Or, hey, this sounds like a great opportunity to connect. And you're like, I have no idea because it wasn't even me. There's no faster way. It's really fast to lose trust. It's quick to do and it's hard to earn it back. So if you're struggling to have time to give comments and all of that, I would just do less, but do it on your own as opposed to hiring it out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. I think in general, I was just thinking of if you've already come up with content, have a VA at least. It's simple, but just have it posted. The comments, definitely, I completely agree with you. The comments, that's got to come directly from the source itself.
Yeah,
that's people can tell if you're faking it or and things like that. But yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Hey, Norman.
Hi there.
Hey.
I was wondering when you do if you do your post through LinkedIn and you're using their their system to post, can it be cross-post to your Facebook and Instagram accounts so that you have more social media presence?
Yeah, I mean, you can easily copy and paste the words and, you know, re-upload, but there's not a system that allows you natively on LinkedIn to cross-post, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know like on Instagram or Facebook, you can cross-post the same one, so you don't have to copy and paste,
Yeah.
but that's kind of what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
you would just have to redo it. Okay.
Yeah, those two are both owned by Meta, so it's the same company. But just keep in mind too that, for example, video does terribly on LinkedIn. So if you're taking your Instagram videos and posting it on LinkedIn, like each algorithm, each social media has its own kind of things that work well on it. So yeah, I think what's probably easiest is cross-posting from Facebook and LinkedIn. Insta's, I mean, Jeff, you can tell me, but you know, video and that type of thing is generally probably, I think, what does better on Insta, but won't necessarily do well on LinkedIn.
So then you'd probably want to you wouldn't necessarily want to take your post from LinkedIn and put it onto Instagram or Facebook because it wouldn't meet their criteria of algorithms to get good reviews there. Then probably, it sounds like.
Yeah, maybe. I think Facebook, I'm not a Facebook expert. I do know that the average person on Facebook doesn't make as much money as on LinkedIn. So for me, what I've done is I've become hyper-focused on where people are looking to learn and have a lot of money. So that's where I'm expert in the algorithm. I cross-post on Facebook. I get some traction, but I don't spend a lot of time there hacking the algorithm and all that for obvious reasons.
That's kind of what I was thinking. If from what you're saying is LinkedIn's the place to be, and then if I post it there, then send it over, so I wasn't wasting as much time coming up with new content or creating a whole new post if they're not as good source for incomes. But still to have it there to get something, but not spend all my time there. So I'll just have to copy and paste. So
there you go.
Thank you for your time and all your help.
Of course. Thanks, Norman. Hey, Brendan.
Hey, Amy, thanks for this. It's been super awesome.
Yeah.
Question about the posting. So I understand, you know, you're doing these weekly posts, providing value, maybe providing a little controversial, you know, topics here and there, but then is the ultimate goal to then come in like, however often you have these deals and be like, hey, I'm raising 2 million, you know, at the 15% return or, you know, whatever it is. And then you just drop those, you know, once a month or however often you're raising. And then you kind of have this credibility, you know, built up behind you just from being so active all the time.
Great question. Yeah, the process for me is, I mean, well, for everyone, it takes about 7 or 8 touches before someone is interested in investing with you and goes through kind of know, like, and trust. So those 7 touches can be, you know, you're in person at a dinner, you're on a phone call, you're whatever. I want those 7 to 8 touches to be my posts on LinkedIn. Most of my investors have just showed up in my DMs going, dude, what are you doing? I want to hear more about it. What's happening? You're speaking to me. I feel like you know me. Again, right? These are these wants, desires, fears, and pain points. It sounds like you understand me and it sounds like you know how to fix this. Let's go. So by the time they're in my DMs, they already know, like, and trust me. They're very curious. I mean, some of them don't know what a syndication is and how it works. So they go through the process like that. I have posted and sometimes do get a little bit of traction about sharing my deals on LinkedIn as a post, but for the most part, it just doesn't work. This isn't a $50 widget that we're selling, you know, I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's a 506c. I can be public and advertise it. Sure, but that doesn't work. There's no one that sees your post for the first time and goes, oh, cool. I trust you. Here's 100K. It just doesn't work that way. So the funnel, and I know it's super counterintuitive. I tell this to my students and they're like, what? How does that work? But yeah, the goal really is for people to know, like, and trust you through your posting. They DM you. There's no outreach. It's just pulling people in through your content. And then getting them on a phone call where you talk about their needs, you know, understanding them, maybe a lead magnet in between where you help them understand kind of FAQs about how this process works. So you're not on the phone every day explaining and answering the same questions over and over again. So they get to take care of that. So by the time they're on the phone with you, by the time they're on the phone with me, they're ready to go. They just want to know specific deal details. Does that answer your question?
100%. And so for those people who you feel like are like green and just like doing like a first touch point, do you have like a loom or like a deck that you send them like, hey, here's what I do, you know, here's what's going on. And then at that point, if they proceed past that, you'll then say, let's hop on a call sort of thing.
I made people jump through hurdles, which again, when you're desperate for capital, it's like, oh my gosh, I want anyone and everyone. But people either are or aren't going to be able to invest. So having a webinar, to your point, it's not a loom, but it's a little bit longer of a webinar of, hey, you know, before you hop on the call, I need you to watch this, understand the basics. And I tell them the why. And it's not because of me. I frame it for them. I say, look, I want our one-on-one conversation to be about you, your goals, your risk tolerance, all of that. I don't want to spend 30 minutes answering these FAQs for you because that's not a good use of your time. So please watch this before we hop on a call. And then if they happen to have remaining questions, then we can talk about it. They rarely do. And then we're talking all about them. So then I understand, oh, they want cash flow. So next time I have a cash flow deal, hey, remember when you told me you wanted cash flow? Here's the cash flow. Let's discuss. Here's how we can address your needs.
That's great. And then the webinar is kind of universal, right? It's not specific to each deal. Okay.
Nope.
Awesome. Thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hey, Cody, how are we doing on time, Jeff? Are you all right? I know we're fielding questions.
Yeah. We'll go on a little further. I mean, this
Okay.
has been amazing. So you guys
Okay.
all stay on. That's totally fine. Again, it's recorded, so anybody that's got to pop off, you can watch
Perfect.
it. So keep going.
Okay, cool.
So, Amy, once you establish trust and you have these relationships, just from an operator's perspective with raising capital, how often do you do maybe soft touch points with them off the platform just to keep the relationship a little warmer?
I email my list every week or every other week, but generally with a purpose. It's not a, you know, hey, here's me, by the way. It's either inviting them to a, you know, economic update or, hey, you know, we're phasing out these, you know, the Jobs Act and those great depreciation things. What does this mean for you? There's usually a call to action and a specific purpose for those. But again, that's why LinkedIn is so amazing because it also serves as constant touch points and reminders. Even if they're not on the platform all the time, even if they're not seeing every single one of your posts, you're still popping up in a way that may complement the email outreach that you do or that I do every week or every other week.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Well, let me wrap this up. And then if there are any other questions, I think you all saw the Jim Rohn quote coming, but don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. So how are you setting your sails to make sure your deals are funded in 2024? I know all of you have the network and are capable of raising lots and lots of capital on LinkedIn. So I'm excited to see your journey. If you're not already connected with me, I know my last name's a little funky. You can use this QR code. I'm sure you saw me in the calendar invite too. So yeah, find me, connect with me. And I really appreciate this privilege, Jeff, and everyone. Thank you so much. I'm happy to stay on for more questions if you all have any.
Yeah, Amy, this was seriously amazing. Like it really was. I don't know anybody on here. There's a lot of questions, so hopefully there's more here to come. But you know, if you're good with staying on, like I said, to answer more of them. But I mean, for me, that's what I'm struggling with. Is exactly what this was on. I mean, it's like, whoa, yes, thank you, I love it. I jumped on LinkedIn. I just have a free account. Is it worth me paying for like a subscription to LinkedIn? I don't even know how much it is, but is it really worth it? Because obviously with Instagram and others, I don't think they have any paid accounts. Maybe they do, but you get a lot of access and a lot of things you can do on there. But with LinkedIn, I guess if I pay for it, am I able to do like what you do where you can schedule your content? Is that kind of what the paid platform is like, where you have access to do all those different things? Or how does it all work, and what's the best way to do that?
Yeah. So scheduling your content's free. I can show you how to do it, but instead of clicking post, there's a little clock. And you just click that and you choose the time you want your post to go live. LinkedIn Premium has several different stages. The one that I use is called Sales Navigator. it's kind of a varsity level thing that I would really only recommend once you have these basics down, because it's really not going to serve you if you don't have content going out repeatedly and if you don't have comments that you're doing routinely. I use it to find my target avatar and to reach out to them, but I don't reach out to them to sell them and pitch them. I reach out and say, hey, we've got this in common. And, I just, depending upon how they are, I'd love to follow your content. And then I just let it be, because the algorithm will start serving my content up to them. And if this is something that they're looking for, they feel like I'm speaking to them, then they'll reach out. So it is not a core part of my business of how I raise capital. It is an icing on the cake, and the icing won't stay where it needs to go, for a poor analogy, if you don't have that foundation of posting consistently and giving comments. So I think it's around $90 a month. Some people go, whoa. Other people go, oh, well, if I generate even a few leads a year off of that through capital raising, I'll make that, that ROI is very, very clear. So you can try it for 1 month free, which is the other really cool thing if you want to check it out. I by no means have the monopoly on how to raise capital on social media. I know for a fact there are people that do it on Instagram that do amazingly. And we all have different gifts, and they can shine through on different platforms. And I think Costco is a really cool example. I actually love that you brought that up, though, because people are passionate about it, because I think a lot of us feel like we get great deals. Inflation's no joke. Maybe you get, and they've got their own business model, right? They dare to treat their employees well and pay them really well, which I think, at least for me, matters quite a bit. They've got a different business model. So I feel like that's a great kind of segue to don't be afraid to do your thing. If you feel like you see an avenue, and just because everyone's going one way, it doesn't mean you have to also go that way. So yeah, I've got no bone in this dog in this fight, as it were, for you all getting on LinkedIn, other than a lot of people have helped me on my journey and understand LinkedIn, and it's super exciting to be able to help others. And if it fits you, great. If not, that's okay too, because you probably have another really rad path, and maybe you'll be teaching me something about, doing some stupid dance on TikTok that helps me raise capital. I don't know.
Right? Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? That's a really good point. Maybe I should work on that. Yeah.
I'm all of 5'2" though, so it makes everything a lot funnier, because I'm like a lowercase human being. Yeah, it's funny.
Vertically challenged is what we say. That's yeah.
What'd you say?
I said we're vertically challenged.
Yeah.
It's
fun size.
It's not that we're short. We're just we're fun size. So yeah, I'm
travel size.
Too. Yeah, travel size. All right. Well, listen. I mean, if anybody else has questions, throw them out. But Amy, unreal. I mean, seriously, this has been so good. We really, really thank you for this. This will be again. It's recorded, so I will post this on our WhatsApp group, and then I'll have a link to on my YouTube channel, and all that. You guys can check it out on there.
Perfect.
If we can have you back at some point, I don't know. I'm going to tell all the Better Life leadership about you too. I really think you can be on there too, because your content's amazing and people need to hear it. So thank you.
My pleasure.
All for being here, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.
Thank you all so much. Really appreciate you, Jeff. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely.